To spotlight. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Power Boosts. And today's theme is happiness. Some secrets about happiness. And this happiness, this topic, quite interesting. Many are looking for happiness, or this longing or search or desire for happiness is the motivating factor behind many of our thoughts and actions. And also useful to realize we don't look for depression or sadness, not that we want to be sad, and so we try and set out and find ways how to be sad. But we set out and find ways how to be happy. So why is that? Why do we want to be joyful? Why are we looking for things that make us feel light and pleasant? And we don't look for things to make us sad, to make us depressed. From the spiritual understandings and looking at this topic from a spiritual angle, it gives us an insight that actually we try and come back to something that is already within us as an imprint. There has to be like an internal reference point for us to want something. And so one way to understand this pursuit of happiness, this pursuit of joy and contentment, is because that is in line with our original or natural nature. Something, if you have never tasted mango, you will never long for it and desperately long for it. There has to be like an internal memory or a reference for it. And so we look for peace and quiet, we look for harmony, we look for happiness, because it is in line with what feels natural and what is innate to us. And that is useful to know. So if we're longing for it, means there is some in time in the past, there was an experience of it. The natural, the original experience of the self is in line with what we are searching for or longing. Now, if it was there in the past, it means we can invoke that state again. Now, what are things that would make us happy or that would help us emerge that joy or that happiness? Many times it is possible that we think that it is external situations, or that some person has to behave in a certain way, or that a certain situation has to be in a certain way, or that there has to be something that I own, then I will be happy. And maybe that will give me some form of satisfaction. But moment that external situation changes, or the behavior of the person changes, if it affects my lightness or my happiness, then it just means that I am dependent on that. That is not that truer happiness. And when they research this phenomena in positive psychology, for example, they research these factors that people who are happy and structurally happy, people who have a certain deeper contentment in life, when they observe or research what are the qualities, what are the state of mind of people like that. One quality that they observe is uh, they can appreciate uh, the little things. This power to appreciate that there is, for example, sun today. But tomorrow there is rain, they can also appreciate the rain. Everything has its own quality. And so this mindset where one can appreciate little things, where one doesn't take for granted a smile or a hello or structures that are there, where one doesn't take for granted the health of this body, for example. This mindset that is appreciative of these eyes, of this mouth, of a flower, and not taking things for granted. That is a quality of people who are able to have this deeper, stable sense of contentment. And that power to appreciate little things goes hand in hand with acknowledging what you already have. In today's world, we are so focused many times on what we don't have. And what we don't have, and focusing on that, it is in spiritual context, we call that the beggar mindset. This beggar mindset, this taking mindset, this needing mindset is always focused on what is not there or what I think I need to have. There may be 100 things in the house that you have that are there for you to use and that make your life go smooth. But that one thing that is not there, that one thing may be occupying your mind the whole day and night, maybe also, and maybe several days. And it leaves us with a feeling of lacking. It leaves us with a feeling of not being able to attain. And it leaves us with a feeling of needing and wanting more. And so this ability to see what is already there and to appreciate that. And one thing is doing that on the external. But the other thing is, and this is where spirituality comes in, beginning to appreciate what one truly is and what is already there inside. No, so to deeper reflect on self, on true self, this being of consciousness who has the power to think, who has the power to observe and analyze, this being who is like an invisible presence, this being that carries a higher potential. This is the real self. And then this being, the real self, uses this body and expresses and plays the game of life. But many times we look outwardly to be someone, or to be loved, or to be appreciated, or to be respected, as if that will reinforce our sense of worthiness and sense of identity. And when we get it, we feel good, and if we don't get it, we don't feel good. But instead, this deeper secret of happiness, if we can turn our vision around and begin to understand the true self and begin to understand the qualities and the potential of the real self and this power to create that highest state of mind, the highest state of consciousness, where there will be happiness regardless of external situations, where one can experience peace because of knowing the true self, knowing the immortality and the timeless nature of the true self, knowing the self as a traveler, an invisible being with divine potential. That becomes the basis of identity, that becomes the basis of peace, that becomes the basis of self-respect, of happiness. Knowing and seeing who one truly is and what already is there instead of needing and wanting and desiring. And so to drop this beggar mindset and to discover all the beauty that is already there and that already exists. Now, sometimes unexpectedly one is asked to do some task, for example, that before you never thought you could do. Never maybe even had interest in, but definitely you did not think you would be able to do. But because no one else is available and it has to be done, and then all of a sudden you discover there is that creativity, there is that analytical power, there is all these this potential inside. And once one starts to do, you discover how much more you can do. That's similar. That dynamics is required, is one of the secrets of happiness. Start giving. Start playing with a higher mindset, and you discover all the treasures that are hidden within. And so this other attitude, this attitude of giving instead of needing and of wanting and of desiring. Start using qualities to serve, to uplift, to empower, to encourage others around instead of wanting, needing. Appreciate what is there, appreciate the little things, and coming out of this attitude of a beggar, starting to give in every situation this attitude of cooperation, and cooperation through thoughts, through words, through actions, through qualities. This attitude of giving, that is an absolute ingredient for a life of contentment and a life of deeper joy. So I'll leave it to that. Of course, there are many more secrets on this happiness, but let us take a few moments to move into this more reflective and experiential mode of exploring that higher potential, that awareness of true self. And so let's take a few moments. Keep the body comfortable. And take a deep breath. Tell the body to relax. And also remind the self how precious this physical instrument actually is. And of course, there may be some tension, maybe in the neck muscles or some thing happening in the body, but at the same time, it serves the soul. These eyes are like little miracles. This mouth, another miracle. Hands and fingers, amazing. This whole machinery, just the feeling of appreciation for this physical instrument. And also come into the awareness that there is one who is operating this body, that there is one who is aware. This one is as if sitting behind the eyes, invisible presence, being of consciousness, timeless, non-physical being of light. And one can use this image of a tiny star, tiny living light, who is eternally secure. The one who is a player in this game of life, and the body, the role is the instrument to play with. And just try and grasp this more subtle sense of self, being of light, timeless, free, temporarily a guest in this body. Eternal soul. And regardless of what the situations are in the drama of life, the real self remains forever, is imperishable, timeless. Living light, being of consciousness, innately divine. A being of harmony, a being of benevolence, a being of love. All it requires is to drop all the layers of false identity, to drop the layers of ego, build up over time, living in ignorance. Coming back into clarity. Gives us glimpses again of the nature of the true nature of the true self. Royal being, benevolent, timeless. And so a deeper sense of joy comes when we start to touch again that original consciousness. Thank you. Have a good day.